evening, fight fans. Welcome back to another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. I am your guy, Bodkins. And, of course, with me is Mr. Bobby Blunt's Wit is out tonight. So it's just a two-man gang, just me and Mr. Blunt passing it around. Bobby, what's good, my man? A rare off weekend for the UFC. Really kind of a rare off weekend for most of combat sports as they gave away to college football. And we are going to be live at the Apex this Saturday as we kind of give away to college football in the first week of NFL season.
Yeah, I mean, there was still a pretty, that BKFC Edmonton card. BKFC, that contender shit always delivers. So, I mean, you kind of got a little bit of the bloodlust there. But, at the same time, it kind of couldn't have worked out better, you know? I mean, especially for, like, me and you and, like, what we normally had planned on that weekend. Like, it was probably, like, couldn't have worked out any better.
Yeah, it was nice. Get into the college football, prep for fantasy football season. And then this week you're kicking off NFL season. And we got a nice little Apex card. We'll get into it. But Bobby, you were kind of humming and hawing when I was like, hey, next week we're going to do our pound for pound list, the highly debatable pound for pound list. You can't turn the TV on or turn any UFC on without Dana White, talking about John Jones and him being the pound for pound king. In fact, last night they ran a promo during Dana White Contender Series for John Jones. And, so, I mean, he's trying to hype up his own train. I don't know John Jones must have something on him. He must have like some nudities or something locked in a case but Dana continues to lean all the way in on this pound for pound list as John Jones.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. I do have to give him credit because he trolled the fuck out of me. I actually thought they were announcing the fight.
Yeah.
When they were doing it. And, hats off to the UFC video team for actually being creative for once. It's a shame that they don't promote their other champions like this. I mean, granted, Jones does deserve the promotion, even though that this particular promotion was a little odd. But, it was a wild little in-between thing. And all it really reminded me was, I can't wait for this press conference.
Yeah, the press conference delivered as always. A couple of takeaways before we get into our pound for pound list. He talked more about John Jones. Talked about suing scammers or hackers or whatever you want to call it, pirators. To me, I think this. I don't want to say the simple solution. I think there's always going to be people that will do it, but lower the damn price to the pay-per-views. You know what I mean? You're paying almost $90 a pop, and you're giving us some of these pay-per-views. They ain't worth $90.
So to that point, did you see Turkey Al Sheikh actually was talking about wanting to make boxing pay-per-views like $20 and stuff like that?
Yeah.
And that's a good start. I do feel like a majority of people would still be like $20 isn't free. Like it's kind of, hard to put the Pandora back in the box when it comes to that type of stuff. Personally for me, I will be purchasing the Sphere card just for the aesthetic look of it. I don't really feel like the grainy and lagging. It's like, if you're going to pay up for one, why not? But, at the same time, I understand why people are going with the free 90 free.
Yeah. I mean, really, not like I said, $90 in today's economy. It's tough. Like you're outpricing the normal fan to me. You know what I mean? Like us, the common guy, the guy that's really your diehard fan. Even to go to an event is very expensive.
Not as bad as they're outpricing the fans at the Sphere. So,
yeah.
I mean, I saw another thing saying there were over 3,000 open seats or something. And I find that kind of fishy when they showed that exact number. There's a lot of kind of back and forth from people in the boxing community trying to shit on the event and make it look worse. So I figured we'd just find out the night of the fight, but it's going to be interesting how that all ends up playing out with the
Canelo it's allegedly down to $700. $700 now, allegedly.
That's a steal. Like, you know what that kind of reminds me of is when all the people that had Connor tickets booked,
Yeah.
and then the Connor fight got postponed, and then the tickets were so much different. So, most of the people that had their seats, I think, went with a refund and rebought the tickets because it was that level of dropping. So, yeah, like I said, they're going to fill that thing one way or another.
They'll figure it out. They always do, and they'll probably have another sellout. Let's jump right into it, Bobby. I'll go ahead and give. What's your number? We'll do the men's first. Your number 10 pound for pound. This could be in any organization, but I mean, preferably it's usually all UFC because that's the best organization.
Yeah. So before we start this, I want to get this out the way and how we should allow or include this. Because in this current list I have, have John Jones last fighting in March of 2024. So that was over a year ago. Granted, he rebooked. So he did try to fight, but the injury happened. But, just kind of by that standard, I don't have him included in it. Now, that being said, if I were to include him in it, he'd instantly probably go to the top, if not right there. Like the second the Stipe and John Jones fight happens, he would be right back in there.
So I did it as I'm with you, and I have him lower in my rankings because he hasn't fought, but he does somewhat have a fight booked for the most part. I think we're all in agreement that he's supposed to. They haven't announced it yet, but we all know it's supposed to be him and Stipe at MSG this November. So I do. That's the reason he's in my rankings. Now he's probably a little lower. You know what I mean? Than he would be if he had just recently fought or maybe even the fight had announced. But so I'm right there with you. So
yeah,
Uncle Dana, if you're watching, this is why we made the list that we did.
Like the reason I have it like that is because he was at the top of it, and he did not lose. He still hasn't lost from there. So, I mean, there's really no reason to take him out of the top of it. But then if you want to go and be a stickler with the inactivity, that's why I kind of just originally did it without him in it. And then I figured when we get to the top, I can pretty much slot him in there. And then whoever's, number 10 gets bumped out of it.
Okay.
So, my current number 10, and I guess this should be an honorable mention for number 11, but my current number 10 is Sean Strickland. And right under him, I have Israel Adesanya.
Okay.
So, I mean, Izzy just made the cutoff at 11. He could easily leapfrog him, but, I hold very high regard with that Strickland win against Izzy. And even though he did not win the Dricus fight, I had him winning the Dricus fight. So to me, that's not enough to like bump him down to like number 14, where I think they have him. Yeah, I mean, I could completely understand why anyone would say, "Oh no, that's absolutely too high. You
it's
need
all
to bump
subjective.
him back down."
It's all subjective.
Seeing where how he is kind of evolved and made that next step, I think he easily deserves to be in the mentioning there for the top 10.
Okay. My number 10's the former welterweight champion Leon Edwards.
Yeah.
I got Leon at 10. I mean, his last performance, not his best performance, but the Usman fight, both Usman fights and the Colby Covington, he looked, especially the third Usman fight, I guess you could say, looked maybe the best we had seen him. Obviously, his last fight, not the greatest. Who's your number 9?
Yeah, on the Leon aspect, I technically bumped him out of the top 10 with the loss to Bilal there. I personally, not to hate on Leon in any way, because those were justified wins, with the 2 Usman wins. But I did think his pound for pound was always a tad bit high, but I understood it because at the time Usman was like 1 or 2. So
I think he might have been 1 when that knockout happened.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So I mean, I completely, understand it, and that maybe it's my Strickland bias, and Strickland should be bumped out, and Rocky should be there. But my number 9, I have Max Holloway there.
Okay.
I really struggled with this. I wanted to put him higher, though I really don't put too much stock into what the BMF title is. He is, technically a champion, and he does, he has that slick boxing. He's got quite a resume, and he's, set to pretty much face off with Ilya. And obviously, if he can get that done, he would obviously sky rank in what I have written down here.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you my 9 and 8 and explain why, because you said Max Holloway. So I had Max at 8. I have Volk at 9. Now I know they fought 3 times and Volk's beat him, but I just look at it as this: Max has went up to lightweight and he took out one of the top, really the guy that was next, right? The number 1 contender in Justin Gaethje.
Yeah,
that fight wasn't even close. Volk lost to the champion not once but twice, and then lost to Ilya. He's on a 3-fight losing streak, I think, right? Or maybe he got a win in there. Can't remember.
You talking about Volk or
yeah?
No, he's lost the 2 fights or
3 fights, right?
Yeah, 3.
Or do I beat Yair, right?
Yeah, he did beat Yair. So as far as
3 out of his last 4 fights he's lost. So I have Volk at 9, and then I got Max at 8. But that's the reason I wanted to explain it, is because Max was, I know they fought, but I think Max at this point in time in life in 2024, I think Max might be better. He, to me, he's improved, and like I said, Max went up and took out one of the top 155 guys, and that fight wasn't even close. It wasn't close. He won all 5 rounds, I think. It was 4-1 before the knockout.
So I don't really have any pushback to it. Actually, that was one of the main things I was struggling with, because I have Volk at 8. So I pretty much could not do the flip flop. But I understand why you would do it. For me, the reason I kept him there was really that first fight with Islam, and you pretty much a lot of people think he won that fight, or you could at least see a scenario where he won. But he, being I just keep that in high regard, and but at the same time, I really wanted to put Max higher than this, so I really have no problem flip flopping him. But I didn't really want to knock Volk 2 down, because it is the 2 losses, and they are 2 knockout losses. But I still think he cleans up a lot of people that he matches up with.
Agreed. Who you got at 7? And I already see a problem with my top 10 with what's going on here, but we'll get into it. Who you got at 7?
So this might be semi-controversial, but at 7, I got Tom Aspinall.
No, it's not. I have him way higher because maybe I put my fandom a little bit, but to me,
I would assume you would have. So that's, and I also kind of figured this would be the biggest disagreement on the list. And, here's my case for it. Like, I really have no problem bumping him up. But then when I look at this, the other 6 names on here, and I stack up those wins with like some title defenses and stuff. I mean, granted, Aspinall has he has defended his interim title, but it is still an interim title. And there is a reason he is asking for the John Jones fight. And once again, like, if I had John in the rankings, he would be extremely high. And in my mind, that is why he pretty much wants to fight him, not only for that belt, but to take that title. So for me, it's not really a knock on Tom. The argument I could see for putting him way higher would definitely be his body of work and never, getting out of a certain like point in the fight and always finishing. So I could completely understand why he would be higher, especially with the finishing aspect. But I kind of landed here at the default until he actually gets that fight. Because unfortunately, no fault into his own, the competition he's fought is exactly just that. They're not John Jones, and they're not anyone that's been in that top 10. So that's why I just have him a smudge lower than these other guys. But I can easily, honestly, bump him higher than my 6. I personally want to. I might make it to do you feel better.
I thought he was. Who'd you have at 7?
Tom Aspinall.
Okay, Tom 7. Okay.
I said
I
easily could
had
bump
him at
him
6.
to my 6.
I got you. You confused me throwing out another number.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, my number 7. I'm gonna change this. Actually, I just thought of it. I'm gonna say Ilya Tapora at 7 right now. I mean, what he did to Volkanovski, what he's done. Originally I wrote down Bilal, and but then I forgot about Ilya all of a sudden. And
you're gonna go wild when you hear my Ilya ranking.
So my number 7 is Ilya Tapora. No Bilal Muhammad in my top 10 power rankings because Bilal can't finish anybody. So F him. So number 7 is Ilya Tapora. Who you got at 6?
So 6, I went O'Malley, which is about as high as I can put him. And, personally, because of Aspinall's like body of work, I am really inclined to maybe bump him down. But at the same time, he did get that Aljo finish. I do think he beat Peter Yan when he fought him. And, it might be spoiling which way I'm leaning picking the Spear main event as well. But, I do think he just seems to keep getting better. So it was kind of hard for me to put him any lower. But I could also understand if someone wanted to, for sure.
Yeah. So my numbers, I have actually Shauna one spot higher. I have him at 5. So I got O'Malley at 5. But my number 6 is none other than Mr. D. It's me, it's DDP. Dricus Duplessis. You did what you did to Izzy and tap him out. And I know you think he lost the Sean Strickland fight, but on the record, he beat Sean Strickland. On record,
and he showed up and looked tremendous in that fight. Like he didn't look bad at all.
Don't forget what he did he scorched Robert Whitaker. His last 3 fights are some of the killers of that killers of the killers. At that point in time, to me, this generation's 2 best middleweights, he finished both of them. This generation after, post Silva, right? You know what I mean? So Izzy beat him, finished him. Robert Whitaker finished him. So I don't really like his personality so much for some odd reason. I don't know. He's just a weird dude, I guess. But when it comes to fighting, the dude can win, and he finishes him. And he does it so awkwardly. We talked about it the night after the fight. So I got DDP at 6, and then I had O'Malley at 5 for all those various reasons that you said.
Okay.
Who's your 5?
I feel very confident about this. My numero 5 is none other than, remember the name, Bilal Muhammad. I put him me putting him above Sugar and stuff. I find that Leon went extremely dominating, and though I did not agree with Leon's pound for pound ranking, I think Bilal took that with his fucking title in London. So this is about as low as I can put Bilal, especially when you look at his, he was going to that fight on a 10-fight win streak. People are forgetting the Sean Brady Burns fight. he finished Brady, and I'll repeat, he finished Brady. So
if I did it all over again, I would take out Leon and put Bilal at 10. So I'll
I mean, I think that's more than fair for sure.
Okay, I'm gonna amend my rankings. No Leon at 10. I forgot about Bilal when I told you I was at football practice making my.
I meant to remind you about him because I had a feeling he'd get left out.
I forgot. Sometimes I need somebody to remember his name for me.
Yeah, no, I will always make sure you won't forget it. Don't worry.
Who is so that was your 5. Sean was my 5. We'll go number 4 for you.
Yeah, so piggyback off what you just said, 4, I have none other than Drekis Duplessis. The Izzy fight, the Whitaker fight, the Strickland fight. He pretty much dropped the first 2 rounds and then won the next 3. If you're going off the scorecard, and it's pretty fantastic how he can look, very lethargic and still being able to pull it out. And I think he matches up fairly well with most people in his division, and because of his size, I actually like his chances if he actually were to be going up. So I would probably, I think that's a big reason I have him up this high is, everything that he showed us is that, he's him. It just, looks a little awkward and stuff. But, you got to give him his flowers at this point. And
no doubt.
I think another win against Strickland, even though it would be considered a rematch, I would probably put him even higher than 4 here.
Yeah, so my number 4 is the aforementioned John Bones Jones at number 4. I mean, to me, he's the greatest of all time now, and I won't think he's the pound for pound, but it's 2 totally different topics that we're talking about. But because he does have the fight, somewhat already booked with Stipe, that's why he gets in the rankings. Had he not had this fight already somewhat booked, I probably wouldn't have him in my rankings like you did. But I got Jones at 4. So who's your number 3?
So number 3 goes to El Matador himself, Ilia Topuria. Okay. This ranking comes down to 2 things. He was able to finish Volk, and I do think he is just that damn good. And, I understand why a lot of people don't like his personality, and it rubs people the wrong way. But if you were that good, you'd be just as confident too.
For some odd reason, he always reminds me of Sacha Baron Cohen in Talladega Nights.
I thought you were about to say Borat or something.
The Frenchman in Talladega. I don't know what it is, just the way he acts in that. I don't know. It's just, for some reason, my brain automatically goes there.
Mm-hmm.
Not Borat, but...
No. I think, I've been on record saying the most anticipated fight is definitely Ilia and Max. I think that's going to be a war. I mean, I'll obviously save our breakdown for that in October there. But I really can't think of another fight I'm more excited for, except for probably Stipe John Jones.
You're kidding me. You can't be excited for Stipe John Jones.
No, I am. I always have been. I understand why people aren't, but
sign me up for the people that aren't.
Stipe was the only one that made that division worth shit. When, if it wasn't for Stipe, it wouldn't even be that impressive that John Jones was going up. Because in my mind, it was always to go up to fight Stipe. So definitely that's a fandom thing in my mind. I obviously know Francis emerged and everything. But, there's a reason I really struggled not putting Jones in. By the end of this, I very well might reinsert him in and just drop Strickland out of the top 10 there.
Okay. So my number 3 is none other than the guy that's going to beat John Jones if he fights him. And I'm not talking Stipe. I'm talking about Tom Aspinall. I maybe it's just my fandom. My fandom is leaking through. I feel like at number 3, I'll admit that. I just think that Tom Aspinall could get it done. You know, Tom Aspinall, you lock Tom Aspinall in a room, and with the 3 other guys, only Tom Aspinall's walking out, okay? That's how it's done.
I see what you did there.
That's how it's done. It's going to be Dana and John Jones in one corner, and it's going to be me and Tom Aspinall in another corner. But yeah, I got Tom Aspinall at number 3. Oh, who's your number 2?
Yeah. So piggyback on Tom real quick, because you know, I did feel I had him relatively low. I'm not sure consensus wise if that's even a high ranking on him, because I believe, you know, most people by most people I mean like the media have him that high, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
I could very well be wrong. I mean, I believe on like Tapology it was showing him at like 6 or something.
Yeah, I think so. I think the UFC has some 6 or 7 or so.
Yeah, but you know, I can't blame you at all that you have him that high, because like I said, I felt like I was putting him a little bit too low, especially when you look at how he gets people out of there and stuff. So
Yeah.
I completely understand it and think it's more than justified there.
Who's your number 2? We got to probably have 2 and 1 the same, probably.
Yeah, so 2 would be Potent. I have Herrera at 2.
Islam number. You got. Let me just ask. You have Islam number 1.
Yeah. You know, for me, I don't know if we want to just go back and forth with those, but and like keep in mind with the caveat, this is not including John Jones in the rankings. If I included John Jones in these rankings, the only one he wouldn't currently be over because the fight would probably be Islam. I understand why you would put Potent at 1, especially with what he's doing at middleweight, lightweight, possibly going to do it at heavyweight. But the wrestling is just way too much of a factor with me when you talk about putting him higher than John Jones. And, you know, if I would have no issue throwing him up there if he were to beat on Goliath. And, you know, I really don't have a problem if you want to go off which I'm pretty sure you're going to say, the activity. I could completely understand why he would be at 1 just for the activity. But, you know, I think the opponents Islam beat are a little bit more kind of decorated, you know, especially with, you know, I really.
I mean, he beat Izzy, like you know what I mean. Alex beat Izzy. You know what I mean. Now I know Izzy got that one back, but
yeah, I mean Strickland beat Izzy. I don't have Strickland at 1. But
yeah, but Izzy, but Alex threw.
There was a joke. I know.
Strickland.
That was the point of the joke.
He threw Sean Strickland to the next century, Bobby.
Yeah, I get that. You know, for me, like I completely, what really hammered home Islam being at 1 for me is how he did deal with that Poirier fight.
Yeah.
You know, at that point, I pretty much still had Jones in my rankings because, I mean, when he's healthy and fighting, I'm sorry, he is my 1. Like, save all the, you know, steroid talk and all that shit. I understand if you want to include that with the rankings or not. But, you know, it's really hard for me to put him, especially if I know Potent is your 1. It'd be really hard for me not to put Jones at 1, actively fighting and winning. Which,
yeah, if they got into the octagon, I would probably agree with that. I'd probably put John Jones over Alex. Maybe I don't know. Man.
What's your main reasoning for putting Islam at 2 opposed to 1? Is it mainly the activity aspect?
The
Compared to
activity
Potent?
has a lot to do with it. I mean, and the way Alex has gotten people out of there quicker, faster. You know what I mean? Just and he has gotten better too. Every time out, he has gotten better. Islam seems to be the last he's been in some battles, you know what I mean? Other than he did take care of Volk quickly the second time, but the first time 5 rounds. DP was that fit 5 rounds before he got him out of there. Now it's obviously a little different.
And we're pretty like confident that he was also fighting with staff in that. And he still had he did a lot of that like with the boxing too. I went back and watched that one. That fight was such a treat.
It was. And I kind of agree with Witt here. I think Pierre's hands are better than Islam's wrestling. Like if they, you know what I mean? Like,
well, so the thing for me is that's probably why I would have Islam over Potent, because if they were to fight in a fictional sense, obviously, I think Islam's wrestling would hold up. And, I think a lot of people are also sleeping on Islam's striking because he's so wrestling heavy. I have no problem saying he has better striking than Khabib.
I was going to say the same thing, actually. I was going to say his in striking's improved. In fact, it's better than Khabib's striking. Like you know what I mean? It's better than,
And yeah, for me, Islam's striking will just keep getting better because it's not like he necessarily needs to work on the wrestling, where Potent could work on the wrestling for the rest of his life and he would still not be able to, he would just be in defending mode, most likely. Like that is kind of the best you could hope for in that situation. But if you want to go off pure power and how active he's been, I completely get it and understand why he's that high. And he's exciting as fuck and easy to root for too. So, I mean, that definitely counts for something as well. But, for Islam, that head kick on Volk is, Potent is Alex Pereira. I'm sorry. I always call him by his nickname.
You're good. You're good.
But, that I understand it was on short notice. But him finishing Volkanovski like that, really kind of cemented him there. And the Islam fight.
I get it. I haven't flip flopped. I have Islam at 2, and Alex said.
I completely understand why. It's not too shocking to me.
Yeah. Let's get into real quick. We'll just kind of run down. We can run down the women. I don't know if you want to go into more in depth on it, but let's let me open back my notes here. My number 10 female is Yao Xiaonin at number 10.
Okay. Once again, I'll do an honorable mention for the 10 and 11 because I kind of struggled this. But 11, I had Larissa Pacheco.
Okay.
And I really wanted to put her in the top 10. But, even though she did get unanimously beat up by Amanda Nunes in the rematch, I have Juliana Pena as my number 10 because that initial fight really didn't matter to me. And
she got a fight coming up too. I mean, it's booked. They are fighting.
I mean, I just have her right there. But I easily you'll see why I wanted to flip flop it when you see how high someone else is in my rankings.
I got you. My number, actually, I take that back. I forgot this person. I'm number 10. I'm gonna go Tatiana Suarez. Because I need to shift up my rankings here real quick. My number 8 is Raquel Pennington, or my number 9 is Raquel Pennington.
My number 9 is Raquel Pennington.
Okay.
And, I don't care what the fight looked like she did ended up winning, and she's able to stick around. And I kind of debated like if I should have her here, but at the same time, it kind of made sense with the other lists on the name. Obviously, I think both 9 and 10 have the most chances of dropping. When that fight ends up happening. Have they even announced that yet?
Yeah, it's in
Utah, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know
It's the
why. I was
co-main.
wondering.
It's the
Yeah,
co-main to
I thought it was, but
yeah.
once again, that shitty promoting. I forgot.
Yeah. Who's your number 8? I got Aaron Blanchfield.
Yeah, I another person that I should have her in my top 10, and like I have her at 12, and she easily could like flop to 9 or move up. Like pretty much anyone at the bottom of that list, I could kind of take it or leave it and flip flop it. But with the fight she has coming up with Rose, she definitely has the biggest opportunity to jump the rankings and kind of crack my top 10 for sure. I kind of felt wrong not having her in it, so I think that's a very good call by you.
Who you got at 8?
At 8, I had once again, if I butcher any names, I apologize. Manon Farot, or
Minio Fiero, or however you say her name.
Yeah, and I don't know, with the body of work she has. Looking at a few other places, they had her a lot higher, and I can like totally see that. It just kind of she could easily be in the top 5 in my opinion.
For sure.
I think when I reveal who's in my top 5 or who is 5, that will kind of explain like, oh, this is why this person got bumped. This is why this person got bumped out, because it is a little unusual, I will admit.
Yeah, no, you're number 7. I have Cyborg.
Yeah, another one we're in lockstep on. I also have Cyborg at 7. This was about as low as I could drop her.
Same.
And to be honest, with that PFL fight on the books, with her fighting Pacheco, if she wins that, she will definitely climb this and be higher.
Yeah, it's just been a while since we've seen her. You know what I mean?
I don't really account the boxing to her MMA.
Me neither.
So, yeah,
me neither.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Who's your number 6?
I got Thug Rose here.
Same.
Right there. In my opinion, this one like could probably drop a little if someone.
It seems like this has been the busiest Thug Rose has been in a long time. This is her 3rd fight this year, so kudos to Rose.
Those Wei Lee victories just hold weight for me.
Yeah.
I might kind of be breaking my own rules there with some of the stuff, but I mean, there's certain things. Like if you were to put certain women highlights into a top, that head kick is fucking top 5. So like,
oh, for sure,
it's just that's about as low as I could put her there.
Yeah. So my number 5 is Farot, who you mentioned. The reason I had her above Rose is because Rose just lost to her a year ago at this point in time. So that's where I have Farot at, and I think she's the backup fighter for Grasso and Valentina. So who's your number 5?
I would be so happy if that happened too. Like, just to throw that out there.
Oh yeah.
It would really help the card. So yeah, my number 5 is Tatiana Suarez. I have her very high, and this is just kind of coming down to the similar to Ilya. I just think she is that damn good.
She needs to get like stuff.
Yeah, and so I understand why you had her. You had her at like 8, right?
Yeah.
I completely get that because like the injuries and stuff, but this list, especially for me, is more. I think this person will be this person, vice versa.
She could
So
be a
that's
lot of
why.
these women on this list. I
That's
will say
why.
that.
That's why the lowest I could put her was 5.
Yeah, she is you know, she can beat a lot of the women on any list, you know.
Yeah.
She is that good. So my number 4, I had Valentina at 4. I
So
have
do I.
Okay, so we're in lockstep there. Can she get her belt back? Number 3, I have the person who beat her in Alexa Grasso, who she's going to fight for the 3rd time, finally in this trilogy at number 3.
As do I.
Wow!
Yeah.
Look at us.
And that I'm very curious who your 2 is now, because I thought my 2 was going to be the wild card, and maybe it's you as well, or what?
My number 2 is Kayla Harrison.
My number 2 is also Kayla Harrison.
Yeah.
And to be completely honest, I wanted to put her at 1, but I understand she's not a champion.
Yeah.
That
Same.
being said, I had no problem putting her this high, because similar to Tatiana, I think everyone on that list she matches up very good with. And, you know, realistically, I really contemplated putting her above Wei Li, who I
Yeah,
have at
that's why I
1.
got at 1 as well. So we actually had our top 5 was very similar.
Yeah. And you know, it kind of makes sense. There's more like less room for error in this scenario, and probably less roster selection too. But you know, especially with you know, the main reason I kept Wei Li there is she did just look insane in her fight at 300. And you know, but I did really contemplate for a good minute putting Kayla at 1, but I figured without a title, that's a little bit too rich. And also, this is a big reason I felt wrong for not having Larissa Pacheco in my top 10. Because if I have Kayla so high, you know, she has a win
She
over
did beat.
her.
I mean, it
And,
was the 4th
you know,
time they fought, though, or 3rd, 4th. You know what I mean? So, like,
yeah.
eventually she gonna get got.
So, yeah, and you know, I really that would be a wild fight in Fantasyland if we got Wei Li versus Kayla. I mean, granted, because of weight, I think that'd be impossible unless
Yeah.
Wei Li was going to like move up or something. But that'd be some batshit crazy stuff.
Yeah, I like Kayla Harrison. I mean, the fact she fought at 145 and 1 is now 135 and 1. She's on the Utah card as well, and she's next. If she wins, she's next. You know, so
I would have had no issue whatsoever if they, and this is not a shot at Juliana, but I would have had no issue whatsoever if they just gave her the title shot there.
yeah,
Especially, like, I understand what they're trying to do. Obviously, they're trying to set up the winner of that fight to fight Kayla. They'll have them both on the card so they can like market it. It makes complete sense. But you know, what I will say is at least Juliana Pena had a win over Amanda Nunes.
true.
So I can't really put her in the Kobe Covington territory of being inactive and getting a title shot. However, how long it's been since she hasn't fought, no fault to her own or whatever, it has been that long. So
Yeah,
I really would have had no issue if they just streamlined.
at least at
Kayla.
one point in time she was booked for the match.
Yeah, and then she pulled out. So I understand why
Yeah.
she pretty much kept her spot. And I actually think it's good that the UFC did right by her. And I think
she's one of the only few ones that got personality in that division too.
I think secretly they want Juliana to win in Utah so they can pretty much book her and Kayla.
I don't think it's a secret. I think that's exactly what they want.
Yeah, it's probably the worst kept secret in the sport currently, for sure.
All right, let's get into so we were pretty much in agreement with the women's. I did say we are going to be live at the Apex, back at the Apex this Saturday night. Real quick, it is headlined by Gilbert Burns. Burns is, man, it has not been kind of he's on a 2-fight losing streak. Gilbert is lost to 3-fight losing streak, lost to Bilal, lost to JDM, or 2 fights. I'm sorry, he did beat Jorge Masvidal way back in the day. It's remember he had 3 fights in the first quarter of 2023, and then I think that wore him out, and lost to JDM by TKO in the third. And he's taken on none other than Sean Brady, who has the 1 loss to the reigning champion. His bounce back looked good against Kevin Gastelum, but he hasn't fought since December of last year. And this good headline.
He's had some injuries and stuff too.
Yeah,
he had to come off a card and stuff.
Yeah, I forget he was lined up to fight somebody and was pulled out. Brady is the favorite here at minus 180. So it's close. Gilbert's at plus money at plus 150. Before we talk about it, I think this is Gilbert's last shot. Like, if he doesn't win this, it's his age, where he's at in the rankings. It's probably over as far as a title contender for Gilbert Burns.
It's kind of hard to say with me. So my issue, not to cast him out too quickly, would be I think it was a big mistake that he took the Bilal fight on that short notice.
Yeah,
especially coming off the fight. I understand what he does it, why he did it, and like Dana says, this is why the things are made and all, to use one of his lines. But for me personally, I would agree, but at the same time, it's such a strange sport. He definitely needs a win. I'll agree with that. Especially if he wants to. Yeah, what the hell am I saying? You're completely right. As far as a title shot, he does need to win this. Granted, some random stuff can happen and someone could slip on some ice, but realistically, I think he would need this win, and it's really a tough test for him to come back to in that scenario. But they don't do. Yeah, they don't do any gimmick fights, and a lot of people were heavily hating on Brady, saying he got fraud checked and all this moronic shit for literally losing to the now current welterweight champion. So that loss aged like fine wine, and you can't really say that about a loss, but here I am doing it. So just off that, it'll be really interesting to see if he had a full healthy camp. That's the biggest question mark to me in this fight.
It seems like those Philly guys that train like that, Joe Pfeiffer, I think, is part of that gym too. It's both those guys just can't get healthy. And you're like, man, if they could just stay healthy and get it together, they could go on a run.
Yeah, I mean, they work with a small, gym in I think South Philly.
Yeah.
And I do think a big part of it though is just how you look at what it takes to if they were out in the Vegas PI more, their recovery would probably be a lot better. But since they mainly train there, there might be more windows to get hurt. And I'm not trying to discredit their strength and conditioning. I'm sure they know what they're doing. But to stay at that elite level, it's just got to wear on your body. And those two are both gym rats, and they're always training. So, I really just hope Brady's able to keep it healthy. And kind of the same thing with Gilbert. Bilal broke his arm stuffing a takedown in that fight. So, I mean, hopefully both of these guys were able to get back fully healthy, especially at, making them fight in the Apex. I mean, granted, I feel a little hypocritical bitching about being at the Apex because it's a good fight and I'm happy that like we're finally getting like good card with good matchmaking. But come on, I mean, this would be so much better with the crowd. But at the same time, it's going to be a great fight. So like, I'm not trying to complain at all.
Yeah, who you like in this one?
You know, for me, I've been going back and forth with it. I actually thought the line would be a little bit closer in this. Maybe it's just like public money. I thought it'd be that. But looking at where it is, I think it's pretty right. I think Brady is going to try to use his grappling. And if he's able to play that game, I do like his chances pretty heavily. And, assuming his health is all intact, I would probably be going with Brady on this one.
Yeah, I mean, this fight reminds me of a fight we saw 2 weeks ago with the Fight Nerds and Kyle Pajaro taking on Jared Cannonier, a young guy, down in the rankings trying to fight up. I'm gonna go with I'm with you. I think this has been the theme. I mean, there's been a few times where it's the older guy has turned back the younger guy. But not this time. I'm gonna go Sean Brady. I think he gets it. I think he gets it done as well. So,
and I wonder if people are like doing a little like the people that are picking Gilbert. I wonder if they're doing a little bit of MMA math, saying like, oh well, Bilal finished Brady, but he couldn't finish
one-armed Gilbert.
But at the same time, Bilal had no reason to push the action to try to finish that fight because people forget he was also nursing an injury in that fight. He came into that fight injured. So, I mean, if you're up, 3 rounds to none, why are you going to push for a finish when you know you're getting the title shot? And, it worked out for him because he's polishing the gold right now.
Yeah, Jessica Andrade is on this card. Wow, Jessica Andrade at plus 250 as she's taking on Natalia Silva. That's kind of interesting. Andrade is always kind of worth the squeeze there. Other than that, I'm kind of looking at the main and co-main. It's about the only it. There's some other good fights. Andre Petrosky.
The early prelims, got some decent matchups on there. I don't got the card in front of me, but I was looking through it, and there's more than enough meat on this bone for sure. It's and actually I'm loving the timing on it too. They're not going to wait till 7 o'clock my time, so it's like 10 Eastern there.
Yeah,
so,
main card starts at 6 my time, so 7.
And that's the way to do those there. Like those main fights, work pretty good at the Apex. And my question will be, I think it's set on paper to rival the card we had 2 weeks ago, which I was on record saying I think was from top to bottom one of the best they had on the Apex, like just for like the action. So I'd be interested to see how it stacks up with that. And then we got some BKFC on too. So
yeah, we do. So that pretty much wraps it up. And then in 2 weeks, we're 1 week away from UFC 306. So next Wednesday, we will be talking all UFC Noche. UFC 306, headlined by none other than Sean O'Malley and Marab. That's crazy. It's about damn time that fight gets here. So anyway,
when you called it 306, I was like, oh yeah, it does have a number. Because someone else called it 306 the other day, and I'm like, what card are you talking about? And they're like, the O'Malley card. I'm like, oh yeah, it does have a number.
It does have a number. The Sphere card, whatever you want to call it. But we'll talk about it all next week. For my guy Bobby, I'm Bodkins. Let's get down and watch some fights and a little bit of college football too, man. It's exciting time. It's a good time for all sports. My Cubs just threw a combined no-hitter through, so to complete it. So that's cool. Nonetheless, be a friend, tell a friend, folks. Like, subscribe, share. It's been another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. We'll see you right back here next week, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern. for our preview of UFC Neoche. Now the spear card. See ya. All right. There we go.